I am a small humanoid robot. I woke up on this lonely platform with one task only: to save humanity. I am also a little bit of a completionist, so I cannot leave the platform unless I vacuum it clean. Welcome to Station Locked series, where we explore the world one platform at a time, cleaning it out completely, finding every secret, every memory, and disassembling everything that's not bolted to the floor. And if it is, well, we have little grinder. We begin by leaving our room and trying to restore electricity to the platform. For now we don't have a grinder, so we're gonna be picking up everything that we see, and in the room not far we find one of our fallen brethren with some electrical cords behind him. We're gonna need those to restore electricity, at least to this part of the complex. And a first catch, I spotted first hidden cache of the playthrough right above the pipes. We can easily get there simply by jumping on top of these boxes. There's a toy in one of the rooms nearby. For now we're just gonna grab it, but we'll be back to clean it out properly. There's a lot of broken robots on the way to the elevator, and they will definitely be useful later. Also, there's another hidden cache in this room right above me, but I have not noticed it until later, but I will definitely be back to pick it up. Gotta always remember to restore health points and save. Up the elevator there are goodies on the ledges, but for now our goal is the boat. And that's also where we meet our first enemy of the playthrough, but they are extremely slow and very easy to deal with. And here's our home among the waves. Also to the left behind the fenced window there is a stash, but we'll get there later as well. Looting all the trash around us gave us level 2, and it's huge because at level 2 we unlock our grinder, which will help us disassemble everything on the go and we don't have to bring it to the boat. Also by using manual grinder first we'll net more experience as well, which will be very beneficial for our leveling effort. Also common mistake when connecting diesel to the boat at this stage, it's very important to select directional flow instead of equalizer, because a lot of people just leave half of the tank and never take the diesel with them. In the room nearby I found one of the boat engine cylinders and decided to fix up the engine and the boat because it's gonna be in the quest later on. After connecting both to the battery nearby, I decided to go upstairs and start exploring there, because we're also gonna need to get electricity to the rest of the station as well. After unlocking shortcut to the boat, I daisy-chained all the batteries together because I knew that I'm gonna need to connect windmills and solar batteries on the roof so I can fully charge the boat. Outside we saved Teddy Bear from taking matters into his own hands and started clearing everything else on the rooftop. Rooftop recycler will play a big role because I'm gonna be disassembling and recycling everything that I collect on the roof before bringing it down into the boat. I also fixed up wind turbines and solar panels to speed up the process. Another shortcut unlocked, and paint bucket for boat customization. This is also where I noticed another hidden cache for later. And another engine cylinder. I also did notice that path under the stairs, but I wanted to finish the rooftop before I proceed deeper into the station. And after clearing the path we can get to one of the easier hidden locations. I continued disassembling everything on the rooftop until I noticed buoy in the water, and buoy is typically a good source of materials. That open pipe in the wall is another hidden cache, but I won't get to it until way later because it requires boat. I clearly been disassembling a lot judging by this pile, and I was finally able to repair last of the solar panels. That awarded me level 4 and I started unlocking diesel generator, fabricator, recycler and newly added replica scanner, which I have not played with yet. At this point rooftop was almost completely cleared and my pile of riches was getting considerably bigger. Basketball court was among but a few places I haven't been to yet, and conveniently enough there's 3 hidden locations here. After clearing out the platform I went down the stairs to the first one and the most obvious one. Then I jumped down in the water for the second location, and it's obviously the opening in the wall. All it requires is a precise jump, just have to go a bit higher on the stairs and jump off, and yeah, you're gonna get there. There's also more to it, so don't leave right away. Look up the stairs, up on the pipe, and on the ledge on the window. And the third location is on the opposite side of the basketball court, in the pipes underwater. And you don't need to dive deep for it, but if you want to get an achievement associated with it, you'll have to follow that pipe and you will need to get at least 40 levels in pressure. And at about 200 meters deep you can enter the pipe, but honestly it's not needed because you can enter the same pipe system from all the way up top without need to go down this deep. And this is the intended way of getting into this pipe system, which does not require going that deep under the water. And with the rooftop almost done, it's time to look into the vents in the room with the recycler. And following the vent, we uncover another hidden location. Taking left path in the same vent system simply brings us back to the boat. Now it's time for the vent on the other side, and it also has two paths and only one leads to the hidden cache. It makes sense to use the grenade you found earlier here because down there's going to be that blob enemy that's attracted to the light, so grenade would help to eliminate them sooner than they can attack you. The fall down on the other side of the tunnel doesn't require you to have any upgrades, but it would be very helpful to have full charge and full HP. And the left side of the tunnel in the very beginning simply just leads outside. Now with the rooftop being completely done, I started slowly moving all the materials down to the ship. You can see I almost got an entire level out of all this recycling, because on top of manual grinding granting experience, also picking up recycled items grants even more experience. It's very interesting physics interaction in this game. After making all the mess aboard the ship, it was prime time to start exploring more secrets inside the station. And I was looking at this location for some time, but this was about time for us to actually get there and uncover its secrets. And all we needed to do was just to get to the other side, and there were goodies on both sides of the bridge. I jumped down and did more recycling, and that granted me another level. Now, level 6 was huge because that meant that I can unlock a storage chest and I won't have any materials just simply laying around on the floor. And after a bit of organizing, I had 12 chests and 6 out of which were almost completely full. I didn't forget about a hole in the wall right next to the ship, so I jumped right into it to discover more hidden secrets. There were also goodies on the level below, but I decided to go up the pipe first to clear it out. And after that I followed the path below to pick up the rest of the items. I continued dismantling items around the ship and had to check at what level I unlocked the diesel canister, because in order to be able to dismantle it and keep its components, I have to unlock it first. Same goes for medium battery storages, solar panels and wind turbines, so I had to get level 8 before leaving this platform. In the meantime, I switched my attention to a hidden area under the stairs. There's some blob enemies inside that's attracted to light, so if you're not using a flashlight, you can melee them relatively safely. And at the end of the vent, we are met with pretty substantial haul, among which we get one of our first nutrients to grow humans. Dismantling robo-beds and robots itself is very beneficial since they contain some of the higher-end materials. By the way, remember that open pipe outside the platform? That's where it leads. At this point, rooftop and upper levels of that platform were cleared, so it was time to start getting deeper into the station. But before doing so, I remembered of another hidden location in the water right under the boat. When you enter the room, you notice that it drops down even deeper, so gotta pay attention to pressure, and it's better to come prepared with enough health points and charge. After that I cleared remaining items aboard the ship and prepared to finally go deeper into the station. I went down the elevator shaft to pick up some leftover goodies before proceeding to the ground floor of the station. I didn't leave my fallen brethren behind, and this was the beginning of something that can only be called as endless cycle of grinding, going back to the boat to recharge, coming back to grind away again. And by the way, this is where I noticed that I forgot to pick up one of the batteries. So a few quick jumps and we're back in business. More dismantling granted me another level, and that meant that I was super close to where I wanted to be level-wise, level 8. After countless trips between ship and ground level of the station and what felt like hours of grinding, I finally noticed the infamous ceiling stash. I tried conventional methods of getting there, but it still seemed quite out of my reach, so I needed to come up with something else. Building storage boxes on the side of the wall and using it as stairs sound like a great idea, so I ran to the ship to prepare the components. And also while aboard the ship I decided to prepare the biometer to diesel fuel generator, since it's gonna be very useful later on. Down at the ground level it was time to conquer the ceiling stash, and I started with placing the first of the boxes on the wall. And now it was all about properly positioning the second box, so I can finally get to that ceiling tile. Another hidden location got conquered, so it was time to finish dismantling everything on the ground floor and bringing it back to the boat. I decided to move my biodiesel production because when you place in Blueprint you cannot really see the input and output pipes, so I think there was a better location for it. I fed it some bioorganic right away, and I picked it up from those pesky night electric eels that pop up every night. At this time I dismantled everything on the ground floor, and it was time to pick up all the processed materials from the processor itself and see some numbers fly. It's indeed very satisfying seeing the experience bar going up, and that's how we finally get level 8. Finally unlocking diesel storage and electrical batteries. That meant I could start disassembling battery storages on the station and start placing them on my ship. I knew there were at least 4 more on the station, so I placed ghosts in their stead for time being. There was one right outside the room where we spawned in the beginning, 2 more in the control room, and 1 more on the dock right outside the ship. I gotta admit, snapping is a welcome addition and makes building, at least for me, a lot easier. It was also time to move the diesel storage aboard our ship and fitted those smaller diesel canisters. I came back to our previous FOB on a rooftop because I wanted to disassemble the fabricator and recycler there. Back at the ship I finished placing remaining battery on the left wall, and I started placing ghosts of the batteries on the right wall, making sure that our ship is prepared for all the future travels. It was time to leave the dock, but not to discover new platforms, no. We have another hidden location waiting for us right outside, which is otherwise unreachable without ship. I collected all the courage and jumped into unknown. And inside awaited my most disliked enemy, those little pesky electric eels. I fed them grenade I found earlier and was prepared for dangerous battle, but somehow they got stuck on tentacles of their own spawner, so it wasn't as difficult as I expected. Remember this from earlier? Now we're on the other side properly picking it up. I was almost done with the entire platform, so it was about time to truly leave no stone unturned. I picked up all the cables and cable extensions. Having lighted the platform was no longer a concern. I don't know how I missed this cute couple on the stairs. I picked up all the rooftop cables and started working on disassembling all the solar panels and wind turbines. Back at the boat, it's a good practice to check net often because it gets full rather quick. I installed solar panels on the roof and once again was amazed how much easier it is to build with snapping available. And with all new and shiny solar panels, our electrical needs were taken care of, at least for now. I also hooked up by a diesel generator, so it started converting biomatter into usable fuel. I also discovered boat customization table and gave the boat fresh coat of paint. Apparently there's 4 areas you can customize and you can mix and match colors. Also, since we're in a neighborhood, I figured it would make sense to explore the underwater cave nearby. But before I could leave, I received a mysterious phone call. I have a phone call incoming? What? Okay? You made it? What does that mean? Someone was calling me dad and talking about the fact that they made it. This is probably one of the newly added quests in the latest update. I got to the marker on the map and went down to the first Whisper Cave. And of course prior to that I absolutely did not forget to put some points into pressure. I carefully navigated through the tunnel trying not to touch any of the tentacles. Unfortunately these caves are not super rich and just have couple memories and some stray loot laying around. After safely returning to the boat we can sum up everything we achieved so far. Total of around 510 iron, almost 430 copper, 410 plastic, 243 cloth, 181 rubber, 85 glass, 52 silicon, 58 polyurethane, 58 gold, 56 aluminium, 6 carbon, and 5 titanium. Also 29 various memory items and 3 nutrients. Also Caretaker is about 35% shy of level 9 and has 110 enhancer points. At last we can leave Sanctuary Dock 37 and leave for Beacon 49.